The city of Pokrovsk awoke to the uneasy sound of sirens and the distant hum of engines in the sky. Once a sleepy industrial hub nestled in the heart of eastern plains, it now stood transformed into a fortress. Checkpoints dotted the roads. Concrete barriers split neighborhoods, and every second building bore scars from recent drone strikes. The bitter smell of burnt fuel lingered in the air, mixing with the metallic scent of fear. At the central command post, buried beneath an old railway station, Colonel Alexei Sokolov leaned over a digital operations table, his eyes reflecting the shifting red markers that represented active threats. The room buzzed with quiet intensity, officers murmuring into radios, screens flashing updates from border patrols. A communications officer interrupted. "Colonel, drone reconnaissance confirms another strike attempt near the fuel depot. The flames are under control, but we've lost 2 vehicles." Sokolov clenched his jaw. "They're probing our defenses," he muttered. He turned to a young intelligence analyst. "Who's behind it? Foreign mercenaries? Or something bigger?" The analyst hesitated before replying. Satellite signals were traced to outside the border, encrypted, but consistent with Western frequency bands. The colonel's expression darkened. "So it begins," he whispered. "Pokrovsk isn't the target, it's the doorway." Outside, the city braced for what was coming. Civilians lined up at supply stations, gathering food, water, and fuel. Mothers hushed their children as convoys of armored trucks roared past. Local radio broadcast. Warnings about unidentified aircraft and temporary communication disruptions. The mood was grim, but resolute. The people of Pokrovsk had seen war before, and they would endure again. Then came the priority alert from Moscow, an encrypted transmission delivered directly to Sokolov's desk. Foreign infiltration suspected. High-value asset at Pokrovsk airfield must be secured. Authorization to engage at all costs. He didn't need to ask which asset they meant. The MiG-31 Falcon 0, an experimental jet equipped with classified avionics and stealth modules, was parked just outside the city. If it were captured, it would compromise years of research and shift the technological balance across continents. Sokolov rose from his seat, the glow of the command screen casting sharp shadows across his face. "Alert every unit," he ordered. "No one gets near that airfield, not friend, not foe." Outside, thunder rolled across the horizon, or perhaps it was artillery. The line between the two had grown indistinguishable in Pokrovsk on the Brink. In Washington, D.C., the air inside the Pentagon Situation Room was thick with tension. The flicker of satellite feeds illuminated a semicircle of officials seated around a long, polished table. On the main display, a high-resolution map of Eastern Europe pulsed, with red markers, every one of them representing potential flashpoints. And at the center of the storm, a single blinking dot, Pokrovsk. National Security Advisor Elaine Carter broke the silence. "We're looking at a developing flashpoint," she said, sliding a file toward the defense secretary. "Energy corridors are tightening. Russia's tightening its grip, and our allies in Europe are falling into disarray. If we don't move now, we lose influence over the entire Black Sea region." Across the table, General Thomas Greaves, a battle-hardened strategist from the Joint Chiefs of Staff, tapped the screen. "Intelligence confirms a Russian prototype fighter jet, MiG-31. Falcon 0, stationed near Pokrovsk. Advanced stealth systems, hypersonic intercept capability, possibly nuclear adaptable. If that technology goes operational, it alters the global balance of air defense." A murmur spread around the room. The CIA director leaned forward, his voice low. "We can't risk direct intervention, but we have assets in place. Private contractors, technical advisors, people who can act without official involvement." President Daniel Ross, joining through secure video link from the White House, spoke calmly but firmly. "No boots on the ground," he said. "But we can't sit back either. The Europeans are fractured. The Russians are expanding. And our credibility is on the line. We act covertly." Carter nodded. "Understood, Mr. President. Operation Silent Veil is ready for activation. Cyber infiltration, asset extraction, and target disinformation. We'll make it look like an internal Russian breach. Within minutes, encrypted messages left Washington under layers of digital camouflage. Cyber teams from Langley and Fort Meade were rerouted to focus on Pokrovsk's military networks. In Poland and Romania, American operatives received coded instructions to secure the package, a reference everyone in the room understood. As the meeting ended, Carter lingered by the glowing map, watching the small red dot pulse in the heart of Eastern Europe. One small city, she whispered, and the world could unravel. Outside, the cold November rain drummed against the Pentagon's glass dome, a fitting soundtrack to the quiet beginning of a new and dangerous shadow war. In Brussels, the heart of European politics was in turmoil. The grand marble halls of the European Council building echoed not with diplomatic calm but with raised voices, slamming folders and accusations. What began as an emergency summit on energy security had spiraled into a full-scale confrontation among allies. "Germany is hoarding reserves," shouted the French foreign minister, slamming his hand on the table. "You're diverting oil shipments through the Baltic corridor without authorization." The German delegate shot back coldly. "We have families freezing, factories shutting down, and public outrage exploding. France can lecture when it starts sharing its nuclear output." Dozens of representatives from across the continent argued simultaneously, Italy pleading for fuel imports, Hungary demanding exemptions from sanctions, Poland insisting that Russia was manipulating the crisis deliberately. The meeting disintegrated into chaos. Behind closed doors, whispers of betrayal grew louder. Intelligence briefings circulated, hinting that France, under the pretext of NATO logistics, was attempting to secure exclusive rights to Balkan oil terminals. A secret document, leaked to the press only hours earlier, exposed a covert operation named Athena Flow, designed to reroute critical oil supplies through French-controlled infrastructure. The scandal spread like wildfire across European media. In Paris, protests erupted. Demonstrators chanted, "Oil for freedom," or "Oil for power." Governments teetered under pressure. Stock markets plunged as investors panicked, sending energy prices to record highs. Meanwhile, in the corridors of corporate influence, the real battle unfolded. Billionaire energy magnates, lobbyists, and intelligence-linked consultants worked overtime to secure advantage. The European Energy Union, once a symbol of unity, was now a chessboard of desperation, and amid the chaos, View noticed the departure of an unmarked cargo plane from a military base in Romania. Officially, it was transporting humanitarian aid. In truth, it carried a team of technical advisors, Western operatives equipped with signal interceptors, encrypted tablets, and stealth extraction tools. Their destination, Pokrovsk. By nightfall, Europe's unity was fractured beyond repair. The battle for oil had transformed from economic competition into political warfare. As news anchors debated responsibility and politicians blamed one another, the camera feeds in Pokrovsk's command center flickered to life. Somewhere between the chaos of diplomacy and the silence of espionage, the next phase of the global crisis had already begun. The world's richest nations were fighting not just for power, but for survival itself. The night over Pokrovsk airfield was heavy with mist, the kind that swallowed sound and blurred light. The distant thunder merged with the hum of generators as Russian personnel worked in near silence, maintaining the perimeter. The air was tense, too quiet for comfort. Deep beneath the command tower, in an underground control room, Major Irina Volkova of the FSB monitored a series of infrared feeds. Her sharp eyes scanned the screens, detecting even the slightest irregular movement. Sector 3, visual disturbance detected, reported a young technician. Volkova leaned forward, narrowing her gaze. 4 heat signatures flickered briefly, then vanished. "They're here," she whispered. Outside, near the hangars, shadows crept through the fog. Foreign operatives dressed in adaptive camouflage, moving with calculated precision. Their mission was clear: infiltrate the airfield, seize the MiG-31 Falcon 0, and extract before dawn. They carried custom EMP devices, meant to disable radar systems without triggering full alarms. but they underestimated the Russians. Volkova tapped her headset. Unit Alpha, engage silent lockdown. No lights, no sirens. Let them come in. Her voice was calm, surgical. Minutes passed like hours. The intruders slipped past the outer fence, neutralized 2 guards, and reached the hangar. One of them attached a signal scrambler to the security door. 30 seconds, whispered the team leader in English. The door clicked open. Inside stood the sleek silver shape of the Falcon Zero, its body glimmering faintly under the dim lights. But as they stepped inside, the lights exploded to life. A dozen red lasers cut through the fog. "Drop your weapons!" thundered a voice in Russian. The intruders froze, surrounded by FSB Spetsnaz. Rifles raised, movements synchronized. A brief firefight erupted, short, precise, brutal. Within moments, 2 agents were dead, and the rest subdued. Volkova emerged from the control room, her boots echoing on the wet concrete as she approached the captured operatives. She looked at their faces, trained, silent, defiant. She spoke in perfect English. "You've come a long way for nothing." By dawn, the airfield was secured. Reports were sent to Moscow, confirming foreign interference neutralized. The MiG remained untouched, gleaming beneath the rising sun. As Volkova watched the first light of morning stretch across the tarmac, she knew this victory was temporary. Pokrovsk had survived the night, but the shadow war was far from over. The world's powers had shown their hands, and the next move would be deadlier than the last.